This is a live breaking broadcast from the Sanctuary podcast team. We take you to your host, Barrett87 and Sophie Bubbles.
Just, what is that? Welcome, everybody. I hope you're having a fantastic day today, whichever day you're listening to, whether it's morning, noon, or night. Today, we are going to be looking at couch versus online with mental health and how the couch game concept is taking a battering in 2020. Retro games, that's games with retro games in them, because obviously there has been one game coming out this week that has retro games in them. And then we'll be finishing off with some amazing, I don't know what, but we'll be finishing off with something amazing. So, let's start off by doing some quick fire questions. Now, if anyone would like to fire them at me quickly, we should have raised beforehand.
Let me just grab them for you. We just had them. Okay, I'm ready. When you are.
Starting now then.
Alright, first gaming memory.
Trying to find Metal Gear Solid's Merrill codec code.
First console played.
Amiga. What a
Ooh,
console.
first console owned.
Amiga.
First game played.
Soccer Kid, if anyone remembers. I think it was Soccer Kid it was called.
First game owned.
First game owned. See, I don't know where I'd put that in, but obviously I owned Soccer Kid at the time. I also owned like Championship Manager at the time. That was many moons ago.
Yes.
First ever game. Or favourite ever game.
Favourite ever game. Final Fantasy VII.
Favourite ever series.
I've got to go GTA. It would used to have been Football Manager, but GTA more now because Football Manager, I think, took a dive with it being out yearly. I think there's issues with games that come out every year.
If you could be a gaming character, who would you be?
Cloud Strife.
Why am I not surprised? If you could date a gaming character, who would it be and why?
Cloud Strife.
And your best gaming moment?
Probably the first time I picked up the new Final Fantasy VII, to be fair. Just because I was so amazed at how much they'd stepped forward with everything inside the game. And I was a bit nervous about the game when it first came out. I think we can cut the middle part of that out. So we've got couch versus online. So if we start with Bear, if you want to start talking about your opinions on couch versus online gaming.
Yeah, sure. I mean, prior to this year, I'd say couch multiplayer was starting to make a bit of a resurgence. I think that kind of coincided with the Switch. I think the idea of that console where you can take it wherever you go and play it with people, the controllers split. So like you get a Joy-Con as a pair and you can turn them into two controllers. It was the perfect couch multiplayer console. It came out at a time where we thought couch multiplayers were gone. Kind of brought them back. I mean, games such as Mario Kart and Smash were fantastic couch multiplayer games.
I couldn't imagine playing a Mario Kart over online.
You see, I have, and it can be challenging at times because the Switch isn't known for its fantastic internet connectivity. I mean, I've had good matches on it where it's been fine, and I've had bad matches, and I think point to point is it's not like Xbox or PlayStation sell an official Ethernet adapter for their console, whereas Nintendo actually do. You can buy it on Amazon and other good retailers. For about $24.99, apparently.
Wow. You might as well just buy another game as well. But yeah, I think couch multiplayer is really important because you can sit there and you can have a proper conversation and you can literally have a chat with people. Because obviously this month we're talking about mental health. I think it's really, really important that couch multiplayers are a thing. And this year has not been great for them, obviously. And let's be honest, Nintendo's literally ripped this year off. But I think that's really important. The kind of because you can see people's reactions. Whereas if you're dealing with people online and then when they're talking, it's quite difficult to actually gauge what they're thinking and feeling. So you can literally look and be like, so it's the interactions not there with the normal online modes compared to Couch for me, and I think that's a deep shame.
One thing I think would really, well, obviously people can't engage in couch multiplayer as, socially distanced, you're not allowed in people's homes and things. So it's online based. And online can be challenging in its own respects, because obviously you've got the difficulties with connectivity, and there's a lot of people who don't have very good connections. And that's something that does need to be looked at, societal wise, is getting everyone up to a good standard of internet connection, which would really help. But I think what would really help with the online multiplayers and couch multiplayers is if, for example, there were more cross-plat games.
Yeah, because that takes you us more to the online side of aspects, doesn't it? Because that's where you're looking at like your cross-platform by can you play it on PC and Xbox, or can you play it across PlayStation to Microsoft? And there is that whole cross-platform issue which they was talking about, because I think Sony approached Microsoft at one point and was like, "Do you want to do some more cross-platform?" And Microsoft, who was probably in the lead at that point, was like, "No." And then Microsoft then approached PlayStation apparently a generation later, and Sony went, "No." So if you're in the ascendancy, it doesn't seem like it's something that you really want to push.
It's a shame, really. I think games where they have the ability to play across platforms, it does kind of lend itself, and it does make the experience more magical. But then again, it's not like Xbox can talk in some respects, because Microsoft have Xbox and PC platforms, and there are a number of games that still don't quite cross over. An example being Halo, where PC players play with PC players, Xbox play with Xbox.
Yeah. And I mean, there's some fantastic companies out there. I'm going to say the words. Please don't make me say it. There's some fantastic companies out there which have really embraced cross-platform. Fortnite. But they've really embraced Fortnite. Fortnite's really embraced this whole idea of it being cross-platform, and they've managed to create it. They've even put mobile. Don't they also have mobile as well as that?
So to get this straight, the one time Aaron's not here is the one time we actually praise Fortnite.
Yep.
Wow.
For any of you who don't know, Call of Duty has recently been released. Yeah.
We have lost Aaron for a whole generation.
Yeah, he's not coming back ever. Well, he might do when Call of Duty goes off the boil slightly, but going back to online and like the mental health aspects of online gameplay, obviously, as well as the danger of it being online, is you also have the issues with cyberbullying and along those lines. Whereas you don't really have that as much with Couch, because obviously you're close friends, or it's your brother who bullies you anyway.
I was gonna say, if you get cyberbullied and you're playing couch multiplayer, get some better friends, because Jesus Christ. I mean, in terms of the brotherly thing, I find gaming's the one chance a younger brother has at, owning their older brother or something.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
hell yeah. But
do you have a younger and older brother?
I'm in the middle.
Yeah, you're a middle child. I'm a baby child.
Yeah, same here.
So I only ever had
Life's
an older brother to defeat me at video games, unless it was GTA or something like that, because he was useless at them.
I mean, it's like I used to tell my mother when it came to children, the first attempt, never worked. The second attempt, you've perfected it, and the third attempt, you try a bit too hard and didn't quite work either.
So true.
First the worst, second the best, they say.
The dirty, inferior one.
I think it's meant to be, it was, first the worst, second the best, third the one with the hairy chest?
Wow.
I mean,
Um,
that's a different way of looking at it. What I will say, just to kind of add in there about the online multiplayer, is I think it's been more important than ever before this year to have that. What we had earlier in the year, obviously we're in lockdown now, which is not the same as before. But when we were first in lockdown and we were not going out and no one was seeing anyone at all, and you had a lot of people who live on their own who were feeling quite isolated, and the power of online gaming and streaming, Twitch especially, meant that people could meet other like-minded people in similar situations, and they were engaging, they were talking, they were socializing. It was giving them a sort of a social link, if you will. For me personally, through lockdown, online gaming on the PC particularly meant I could play games like golf with your friends, go on Minecraft servers, the like,
Phasmophobia.
basically. I'm just trying to find out what other games I was playing at the time. I've got them all downloaded, you see, so I'm just like,
Phasmophobia.
well, that wasn't there that time, but yeah,
Was
that's
it?
come around second time around, hasn't it?
Yeah. Which is an intriguing one. So, what's your favourite? Couch versus online. Which is your favourite?
Oh, that's tricky. I mean, I'm gonna say online, but Couch has some games that I grew up with that I absolutely adored. I mean, Time Splitters will forever be the pinnacle of couch multiplayer for me. That and Burnout. Burnout 3 Takedown.
And I mean, there's lots of games that's crossed over from being purely couch to online as well. Because if you think Monopoly is now very much done
Monopoly,
online.
Mario Kart, Smash, although again, when it comes to a Nintendo console, the online does have its issues, but when it works, and to be fair on those games, it's fantastic. Just don't make the same mistake I did and assume that you're good enough to play with people who play it their entire lives, because it doesn't go very well.
I'm glad you stopped me because I was about to say a board game that I've played online, and basically online via a Discord call and also by the couch. So there is obviously you can still do couch games, but it's a lot harder to do when you're far apart. And that game's Pandemic, and I was there going, "Yep, that's probably not the best game to mention."
It's a good one, but I get your point.
It's a great game though. I absolutely love it as a game. Great concept. Not a great concept in 2020, but great concept overall. So my favourites I'll probably go err on the side of online as well, because obviously the online community we've got a fantastic online community, and it's one of those things where it's like I wouldn't have met so many people if it wasn't for like online. I'm trying to think of the last person who I met in actual reality by leaving the house. Probably on my birthday was the last time I actually saw somebody other than someone at the shop, and that's the 18th of October. I'm nearly a month dry of actually having social interaction in person.
Well, I'm lucky. I live with a housemate, so we do play a lot of couch multiplayer games. Well, I say we do. We play at least one a week. Current choice being FIFA. But the last person I saw other than him, who was a gamer who I could have that kind of social interaction with, was Sophie.
Hey.
And that was
I just like how I said her name and she went full Happy Days Fonzie there.
Yeah.
That's what I thought you were Sophie. Hey. She's gonna bang on a PlayStation, it'll suddenly start working. Hey.
So, what's your opinions there, Sophie, about couch and online?
Well, obviously, like, I completely agree with you guys, in, like, all the things that you said, because I'm also firmly on the online side. But for me, like, it's a different side of it. Like, I don't mind the occasional, like, couch type game, but as an introvert, I immediately side more to, like, the online stuff, where I can just be in my own little bubble and then, like, play a game online and I've still got the space that I need, as well as, the company that all humans need.
Of course. I mean, for you, Soph, would you say one of the things you appreciate in the game, as an example, Minecraft, is where you can have your own world and do your own thing in it, build it up, create it to how you like it. But the power
Exactly.
of online, you can invite people in to share in the experience that you've created.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of the online world, and that's what leads us nicely into retro games. Now, we was discussing retro games. We often discuss retro games when we talk about retro games, and we talk about amazing games that hold retro games inside them. How's your experience been with that recently, Bear?
Well, firstly, I'd just like to say that if you were playing a drinking game for how many times he said retro games, then you're on 5. Good luck. Um, in terms of playing retro games, so one thing I do love is when the video game brings a little Easter egg in there. An example being that this week saw the release of Yakuza, Like a Dragon. Now, I will have probably at some point review that game because I do like it. I think there's a lot of good things. There's a lot of things it does right. There's a few things it does wrong. Overall, in the balance, I'd say it's well worth a buy and it's well worth playing. It does have a game-breaking flaw that I'm sure it will fix, but it's there still. And I found it myself. I went into Club Sega, which is in the world. So, it's an open world game. You go into an arcade called Club Sega, and I discovered inside there, to my delight, they've got a load of games. Now, the first time I tried it, I saw there was Outrun, and it might just be a generational thing, but there's a whole, I really want to relive that. And I tried to play it, and it actually crashed not only the game, but my stream at the time, which was a little embarrassing. And then the second time, it allowed me to play it, and the memes were going right there. I then tried to play Virtual Fighter, which is also in the game bizarrely, and that was great because it is legit the games, because it's all Sega who developed these games or published these games, so they're all in there. It's fantastic. And then I got to the UFO Capture, which for anyone who doesn't know, is sort of the quintessential crane game as it used to be in arcades. You use that kind of little crane thing to pick up stuff.
Like there is on Toy Story, where they're like, the claw.
Yes, the claw. And that broke the game. Like, of all the things that I could have done playing Outrun from the 1980s and the claw, I don't know. It's a shame because, as I say, it's a really good game. It just needs to patch that now, and then it'll be perfect. Well, nearly perfect. You know what I mean?
So leading on from that brand new game that's broken by Club Sega, let's move on to other games that hold retro games inside them. Can anybody name any?
I can give you 2.
So can I actually.
Aha. Well, you go first, my lady. Well, ladies first.
No, go on, go on.
Okay. I could give you 2 examples, and one example is bizarre in the sense that it's technically free games. So, if anyone here has ever played Homefront: The Revolution, I personally have only because I wanted to play the game that's inside the game. If you do that, there is an arcade machine in Philadelphia. This arcade machine contains the first 2 levels of Time Splitters 2, which was a game I mentioned earlier, which I absolutely adored. You can play these 2 levels. Anyone who played Time Splitters 2 in the first 2 levels will know that there is another game contained in there, which is Anaconda, or Snake. You can legit play Snake in Time Splitters 2 in Homefront, which I find is completely mind-blowing of how many, Inception-esque moments it brings, but it brings back so many memories. And it then, apparently, what makes it all the more bizarre is that this Easter egg is of a game which was developed by the team of Homefront, but it isn't owned by the team who did Homefront. It's owned by another company that came out of the same team that had made Time Splitters. and that team then went bust, and I think was bought by. One day I will talk about Free Radical Design because there is such a bizarre chain of history that went on there. How they made this game, became really big, collapsed overnight, and then split into about 6 different studios, which then split themselves and so on. So that's my first example. Second example is similar line. Namco, Bandai Namco created the Tekken series, and on Tekken 5, I think it is, you can actually play the original arcade versions of Tekken's 1, 2, and 3
Nice
in the
touch.
original graphics as well, which is just, again, mind blowing because I remember playing those on the old PlayStation. And those are my versions, and I will now go quiet because I realise I have wittered on again.
Don't witter on. And how about Sophie, the two that you can name?
No, I wanted you to witter on. That's kind of made you go first because I knew, like, for one, yours is going to be a lot more interesting than mine, and I love hearing you witter on.
Aww. Love is dead.
I could only think of two. The immediate one that I thought of was Stardew Valley, because in Stardew Valley there's like a sort of retro-ish type game on there called Journey of the Prairie King. It's really difficult. I cannot stress this enough. When I first did my first stream, when I did I was meant to do the 24 hours and I ended up doing 19. I tried to like beat that game and I couldn't do it. It's so difficult. And the other game that I thought of was Bully. There's a couple of like arcade games on there.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that I love playing.
The other one I listed was from the same company. I had Stardew listed. The other one I had is from the same company as Bully, and that's GTA because I think they have games in GTA that you can play as well.
Yeah, I believe I do, don't I?
Yeah, that took me some thinking about, and I was like, I don't actually know many. Stardew it came straight to my head, like, oh yeah, I remember Stardew.
Yeah, same here.
But the others I struggled with them. It kind of like writ on the side of a little notes here, side games and obviously card games and things like that, because a load of games have like those. So like I believe Witcher has it. All your open world games generally have side games that are of interest. Going back to my favourite Final Fantasy VII, you can play darts, for example. So it's a side game. It's not quite a retro game, but it's a side game inside a game. So
Yeah.
Again, something else definitely that you do kind of look at, and I did spend quite a lot of time playing darts when I was recently doing Final Fantasy VII, just to finish top of the table that they had. That was all good fun. But yeah, see, I struggle to name like the retro games and that's it inside games themselves. But it is interesting.
Yeah,
that
it's not an
time
easy
split
one.
thing. That time splits thing's interesting, though. How they've kind of tied it in. There's like three games in. Two?
One single
Yeah.
game. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? But how about you listening? Have you got any particular memories of a game that you played within another game? We'd love to hear it in the comments below.
Or you can tweet them to us, and that's obviously also in the comment below, or anything like that. Just drop us a tweet, and all that information beneath. Or
I also hear that due to internet coverage in Barrows area, he also accepts it by pigeon mail.
my internet's better than yours. Thank you very much. At least I can play Among Us in any room in the house.
Oh, fuck you.
It's not me who's got to go downstairs to play Among Us.
I mean, I'm downstairs now, but that's just because, I've got the Xbox here. I mean, I'm not addicted to it. I could turn it off and not play it, but that would be a waste. Though,
He couldn't. Addicted.
I have a question, just to kind of to follow up to that last one. So we've just talked about games in other games, yeah?
Yeah.
Is there any other tie-ins? So not playing a game within another game, but like a crossover that you particularly are fond of or remember? So, to give an example of this, whenever I play Sea of Thieves, I have a ship that is based on Banjo and Kazooie, mainly because he's got a bear on it. And I just love that whole style and everything. I just wondered if you guys had something similar to that, which was also a crossover of a different kind.
I can't really think of any, to be fair, that like sticks to mind.
That's difficult. Like, I know there's a lot that I've come across, but like immediately my mind's just gone like, nope.
Tell you what, how about we reconvene on that question next week and see what you can think of? Because I have one that is both slightly weird, but also somehow appropriate.
Ooh.
And no, it's not sexual.
As well as that, in the coming week, we have D&D on Friday. If you do follow us on Twitch, we do have D&D on Friday. We have Golf with Friends on Saturday, and we have some games in between. So that about brings us to the conclusion of our time with you today. I hope you all have had an amazing time. I'm going to let these guys begin to sign out, and I'll be back right at the end. Who's going to jump in first?
I will. Some people say that I'm very chill and that I don't have any, ulterior motives, and that I'm not very. I've not got any subliminal messaging, but subscribe. You should definitely think about subscribe. Just checking in with the channel, subscribe, and certainly hitting that follow button. It's been awesome to speak to you all, and I'll speak to you all next week. Subscribe. How about you, though?
Yeah, not much else to say other than take care, guys, subscribe, and I love you very much, and I will see you subscribe in the next podcast.
They
Can we
summarised
also
it.
just say that chicken nuggets suck, because one of the four of us is missing, and we can now democratically vote on this.
Yeah.
We are not democratic related on anything.
Kebabs are
On
back!
that note, and on that bombshell, shall we say, we wish you good night.
Beep, beep. You've been listening to a Sanctuary broadcast. We will now resume regular programming.